Does anyone else have a shop that's too cold to be working in? It's ridiculous. That's my situation here in the new building. We have came to pretty much a complete standstill over here since the weather has gotten cold and crappy out. And I'm hoping in today's video we're going to do something about it to try to fix that. So to get started, I went out to Piper's Auto Salvage and I picked up some material out there that we could be able to start to use to build with. I got a pretty good sized tank that is about 30 inches around, and I also picked up a big piece of I-beam that we're going to be able to use for some legs. So to get started on this, we need to probably go ahead and chop this garbage off and go ahead and cut those pipe there out of the end of this thing and try to get it to where it can be sealed back up, I guess.
All right.
So this, by the way, is what our other heater's doing. I'm gonna turn it off so it don't sound so bad in the video. So flip it off. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. If anybody knows what's going on with that, please leave me a comment below because we would like to try to fix that. I've wired around all of the electronics in there. Now it's all manual, and I've cleaned everything inside the like fuel delivery part there and the filter and everything. So I don't know why it's doing that, but anyways, moving on to our wood burning stove here. I think it might have had something to do with some kind of sulfur or something, the way that was smelling. That was really, really bad when we were cutting that apart. Now we got the door standing wide open still, and it's snowing outside. So, yeah, that was horrible. We've got pretty well cleaned up now. Show you what we got. Got everything all cut off of there, so now we'll have to find some plates to go ahead and weld in there and there to be able to cap everything off. And I had this big thing over here on this side too, so we'll have to find something to cap that off. You want to look over there in our pile of circles and see if we've got something?
I could probably do that.
And then it had this stuff inside there. Where did Connor put it? They had this big thing in there, whatever that was. And that was in the side, so we cut that off, and then that other little piece there. Might be able to use that as some kind of heat exchanger later, so we're not going to get rid of that just yet. Found some stuff?
I think so. Let's see how these work out. It's gonna be about perfect there.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that's a nice big thick one too.
Yeah, that is a really thick one. It's a little big, but we'll trim that one up. Round it off a little bit. And
yeah, we'll heat it up and roll it over a little bit. I think we'll have something.
yeah.
I guess that's our next step. Bad for a one-armed blind white boy.
I guess, yeah.
Might as well go ahead and weld those on too.
Alright.
Then while he's doing that, I'm gonna get started cutting on these legs. I figured it'd be easier for me just to cut them, and then you can see the shape that I'm gonna go with rather than me try to explain it. Alright, so we ended up with something like this for the leg. Not real proud of the way it cut with my torch, but the tip on there, I'm going to use that as my excuse.
Yep.
And say that is the reason why it was a little bit rough, but Connor cleaned it up a little bit. It'll be good enough for now. And now we need to figure out a way to put kind of a notch here into this so that we have the same contour as the tank, and we'll be able to put these underneath there for legs. So the leg will sit just like this. We got a big flat spot here on the bottom, one at the front, one at the back, and then if we have that saddle right here, the tank can just sit right there on it, and it should be pretty solid. So here's how I'm going to mark this. We're going to take this over here, move the camera, and flip it over. So we're going to sit it up there like that. I'm going to stand on the back side over here and then just hold it level. You got it?
Yeah.
And then I got my old trusty dividers here that have marker tape to them. We can take the dividers, adjust out to where we just barely touch the metal from straight up and down.
Try not to rock this thing.
Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
And there's our line.
Sweet.
Let me help you get it back off there. And then we'll do the other one.
Still very shaky with that, but hopefully it's good enough.
I think it worked. It didn't do too bad. So this time we're going to do it on the other end just to make sure that there's any kind of difference in the contour of the tank. Then we'll be good to go. I think that that's a little bit out of round on the other end, like maybe after it got cut it dropped or something, or maybe just the heat of it made it pull a little different. You got it?
It's not balancing on little tiny things. It's a little easier to fix it.
We need to bump it that way just a little. The other thing that we did do that we didn't talk about on the other end is we marked center of it so we can put the center right over the center of the tank, and we're still way off on this one. Another quick mark and we'll be good to go. Ready?
Yep.
need to cut this thing off to length, and like I said, we're going to start it, I think at 50 inches, sounds like a good number.
Sounds good to me.
So Connor's already kind of put some 50-inch lines on here to give us a little bit of a reference point, and I think what we're going to do to be able to try to make this a square cut or a smoother cut all the way around that we can, I think we'll try to wrap like a piece of wire or something around it. And then we can mark that, and then we can check everything, kind of look and see if it looks like it works, and if it does, then we'll call that our line and cut it off. So part of the reason why I had such a hard time getting a good cut on that angle iron or on that channel iron is because I just marked it with that marker. When I cut the circle pieces, I put the grinder on there and actually made a little grinder mark, and that made a big difference on being able to see where to cut it at. So I think we should do that on this. Go ahead and just hit it with a grinder and etch a mark into it. Alright, so I couldn't take the ugly torch cuts anymore. I went ahead and spent like another hour grinding on this thing, and it looks way better. It's still not 100% there, but it's acceptable now, I think. And also, while I was messing with it, I did lob the corners off the bottoms there too. I think that kind of makes it look a little bit better. So I think now we're at the point where we can lower this thing down and actually see what it's going to look like when it's on its legs. Alright, to be honest with you, there's a little bit of a gap on this one side. I think I need to go ahead and take just a hair more out of the bottom. I was grinding on the edges pretty good, and I think I might have taken a little bit too far off on the edges when I was cleaning that all up. So now I think I need to take a little bit more out of the bottom, excuse me, to be able to get this thing to sit down and have a real nice clean fit there so we can weld it up real good. So I'll be back. Alright, it's fitting really good now, but I may have made a mistake. I haven't decided yet if I have or not, or if I should worry about it or whatever. So here's the deal. Made the legs the same height. So now sitting here, the darn thing's sitting here level. Truthfully, it's just a hair off of level with this side being a little bit higher. But my floor slopes, it's got a drain in the floor and the water runs no problem right over to there. So I know my floor isn't 100% level right here. So I'm really sure that the darn thing would be level if it was sitting on a level surface. Now, here's the thing. I don't guess it was probably going to matter a whole lot, but it just seems to me like it would be better if that end was higher and the reason being is because that's where I'm going to put the smokestack, is over here right on top on this end. And if that end's higher, then it's going to just automatically pull the smoke out of the barrel on that end better, I believe. I'm not a scientist in smoke draw and all that kind of stuff and the way it works, but I know heat rises, and if that's the highest point, then it should go up out there. So I'm gonna sleep on it. It's time to go home, so I'm gonna sleep on it, and I'll try to make a decision before I come back here tomorrow on whether or not I want to go ahead and lower this side over here and try to make that side up just a little bit higher. I'm probably just being picky. It probably doesn't matter, and my door is definitely going to be down way lower than where the exit point is, so it shouldn't be a problem with like smoking up the shop. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna think on it. Alright guys, I thought about it overnight and a little bit more this morning, and I think I need to just leave it. So my thinking at this point now is that I don't think that our 120-year-old concrete over in our new building, our new old building, is probably going to be level, especially in the spot where this is going to go. So I don't think it matters if I make it level or not now anyways. So I'm just going to leave it like it is. We're going to weld it up. Once I get over there and get it in place and actually fire it up for the first time, and we'll see how it does. If it ends up being an issue, then I guess the thing to do at that point would be to go ahead and just prop up the one end a little bit, and we'll deal with it then, however we need to. So I've got an idea now on what to do on doors. I've got it drew up here in CAD. I'm gonna run over here to the plasma table. We'll blow this thing out real quick, and then we'll get to sticking an end on this thing, I guess. Well, got a little bit of stuff put together with the front of this, and then we'll stick the end on it. How about that? Alrighty, this is a piece of 1/4 inch, and that's just under half a sheet. And I think that's about 350 pounds a sheet or something like that. I don't know, you guys can look it up and see, but that sucks to put on there by yourself. Big and awkward. Okay, so here's my plan to put this thing all together. We're gonna have a piece like this, a piece like this. That'll give us something for the door to overlap onto and fill up. And it's also going to give some strength to this area around the door. So hopefully we don't get any warpage going on. And I think once we get this in there, then we might go ahead and stick something in here to kind of like give it a perimeter coming outwards. That'll kind of help also keep the smoke from wanting to go outside the door. And also give it strength. Then we've got these pieces down here. And we're gonna work like that for the ash door. Same way. think we need to weld that up in there first before we put this next piece on over here. It's not going to be able to get welded as good. It's lower down, it's not going to accept much heat, so I'm not worried about it as much as I am up there. So I guess if you want to weld those on. Go ahead and just do some more like 1 inch and skip around more and then let it cool off more. So throw like one in this corner and one in the corner over here and middle, and then corner, middle. And then we can let that sit for a second, and then we can come back in and do more around like that. That'll get the heat spread out plenty good enough to where you don't have to worry about it working too much. But we went ahead and set this over here since Connor got the back of that all welded up, and I think we're braced up pretty good there now. But we have a little bit of a situation. Our tank is that much out of round apparently, because this was cut on the plasma table and it was cut as a round circle. So we're gonna have to try to play with this a little bit and see what we can do to make this kind of back around again. It's not exactly the right tool for the job, but it doesn't mean it won't work.
Yeah. Aren't those for squaring corners on this stuff?
This?
Yeah, or stuff like that.
Those are actually for wood.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Hold that on that side right there. Yeah, right in the middle.
Yeah, it's about as close as about eyeball level. Yeah, it's moving.
It's moving a bunch.
Yeah.
How's your side look now?
It's all but level on there. It's still a little bit off, but it's pretty close.
It's close enough we can weld right here by this cleanup. Well, the snow has been relentless and it's still coming down. Well, it's not really coming down now, but it has been coming down, and I haven't really been able to finish the next step of the stove because of that, because I wanted to bring it outside and be able to go ahead and try to put a fire in it and burn some of this paint off that's on there and some of that oil and other crap that's just on and off. But today we finally got the thing outside the building enough, just barely, with the awning and stuff there. We'll be outside enough, but I think we're ready to go ahead and start a fire in there. So, oh, damn it. Okay, well, I need both hands to open that up, I guess. Yep. Anyways, we're gonna start a fire in here and we'll burn this thing off and see how it does. Ty's done drug us some more wood out of the snow over there, so we'll get that stuff broke up and stuck in here, and we ought to have a pretty good fire going on. apparently we've got some pretty good flames rolling out the front. I'm gonna go ahead and put the door back on there. Just kind of lean it up there and prop it up. See if we can't get some of the smoke and some of the stuff coming more out of the smokestack over here. So I haven't finished the door yet. It still has to be mounted and hinged, and then I've got a dill that I've already made up to kind of slide across there to cut the airflow off as well. But right now it's just wide open, so there's still a lot of smoke coming right out those holes. Once we get that all taken care of, we'll be able to dampen it down some at that point. Also don't really have a big enough hole out the end down there. It should probably be bigger. But I don't know exactly for sure what size tube I'm using for the stack to come out yet. So I didn't want to make it any bigger than that until I know that for sure. Woo, that bad boy is rolling some heat out of there now. We got some really good heat coming out of there. I went inside for just a little bit, do some video editing and stuff, the stuff that you guys just seen, and came back out here now and we got this. So I'm really happy about that. All this tar and stuff that was on the top of there, that stuff is all just flaking off now, so that's golden. Ooh, it's hot. And that stuff being off is important for a couple reasons. First one is that we don't want that burning off inside the new building and being inside there in the air that we're breathing. And also, I want to go ahead and take this to one step further. I don't know if I need to because it's burning the heck out of me right now, but I want to take this one step further, and I want to put a bunch of fins in here on this thing and then sheet over the top of it and put a blower on it to where the blower is going to blow air in through around all of the fins and then out the other side, probably out this side. Anyways, we'll get a lot of heat blowed off of this thing with that blower is what I'm thinking.
Nice, that is warm.
Feels pretty good, doesn't it?
It feels great. In fact, I'm having to keep backing up.
I know it.
It's burning my face. Flames are shooting out the top.
I was standing here a second ago and it had my zipper on fire. I thought I was losing something.
Smells.
Muddy all around it.
I approve.
Well, you guys heard it right there. The boss lady approved. So we're moving forward now with this thing. Since we burned it all out, I'll let it sit there and cool off. And then Connor cleaned all the paint off of it. All the rest of the paint came off just super quick and easy with the wire wheel. It took like 10 minutes and he had everything cleaned up and looking like it does now. I'm waiting on a truck to show up right now so we can get some strapping that we can weld here to get our fins. And I think while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get started making some hinges for the door. Alright, so it comes time to put this door together, and I have to admit I've kind of screwed up this a little bit, and I usually take pride in making sure that everything I do is thought out really well before I do it, but I did not do that on this. So here's what I've got. I've got my holes cut on the back. We've got a plate welded on there to be able to strengthen the door right through that area a little bit, and now we have our holes for our dampener. We made this plate to be able to go over here and make it be our slide for our dampener to open and close it. A couple little pieces of angle iron here to hold that and give us a piece to slide on. So that'll look like that. Then we'll turn the head of this bolt down a little bit, stick it through this hole here, weld that on. That'll give us a handle or a place to thread a knob onto even if we wanted. And then we can just pull on that to dampen the stove. So that part I thought out quite well, I think, to begin with. I like all that. That's good. Now it comes time to hinge it. We made these hinges, and I think these are sexy looking. Pretty cool. I like those, but I just naturally assumed that I would weld them to the sides, and the door would open to the side. Well, if I do that, it's kind of odd. I can't get this to stay there now. There we go. It's kind of odd just to have the hinges up there above that. I don't really like that look. And it's also not going to give it a lot of extra strength down here at the bottom to keep from getting warped and goofy. So kicked around different ideas, thought about going ahead and reworking these, but there's really not a better way to rework them. Could move them clear down here to the bottom and actually go off of this corner here, and then it would actually swing out and around weird when he comes out of the hole. So I didn't really like that option. And then thought about putting them this direction and making a door that would just swing up. And that I was liking for the most part, other than having that door there where it needs to swing up all the time. So then I came up with the idea to switch that all around again. And now put the hinges on the bottom. And then we're going to pull the door open and just let it fall down. So I think that's what we're going to end up having to do. And also, with the hinges being out as far as they are right here, it's actually going to kind of force the door to close itself all the time once it's up in its right spot. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. We're going to go ahead and stick this together here now and see what we end up with. I'm going to have to chop a little bit of this off here. It's a little bit too long to do what I want to do. But other than that, it should go together pretty good. So also, while I've been working on that, Connor has got the metal that we got in off of our truck, and he has got some fins laid in here to kind of start getting this place for the air to flow through. So my plan, we'll have the air come in through here. It's going to have to jog around all of these, all the way through, around, down, and then out. And we'll probably put a little scoop there to help funnel the air out to the side. How'd you do?
close.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Only thing is a little gap right there.
I think we can fill that little tiny gap.
I think so.
Yeah,
Pretty happy with that.
that's pretty nice. Well, if we get a mark around there now, we can know how big and where exactly to cut the hole out in the top, and then I think you can weld that piece on.
Sweet.
Well, we're on the home stretch now. We need to go ahead and do something to cap off all of the little fins here that Connor made and be able to make it to where we can turn these fins into some ductwork. So to do that, I need some sides on these that'll wrap around the tank and give us the same height as these fins here. So I think I could go ahead and just cut some stuff on the plasma table that would match the tank. That would be the easiest way to go. But it's going to use a lot of material to do that, so I'm going to try something different. We'll see if this will work. I want to take some of the strapping, I'm just going to tack it on here, and I'm going to take my cutting torch, try to heat it up, and just let the weight of the strap kind of bend itself around the tank. I don't know if we'll be able to get that much arc out of it or not, and I don't have my rosebud tip here, it's somewhere else, so I'm just going to have just the regular cutting torch head. So, we're going to give it a shot real quick. We'll see where we end up. Plan was a fail. I didn't like the way that was working out at all. I was able to get enough heat in there with cutting torch head and it was bending, but with all the extra leverage that's on that piece of strap out there hanging around and me here trying to do it by myself because Connor's already went home for the day, then yeah, it just wasn't working out real well. The thing was going to be a warped up mess by the time I got it done, and I'd probably used half a bottle of air to be able to do it. So doesn't make sense to keep doing that. I'm going to go ahead and cut something out on the plasma table. I was thinking about it while I was heating that up and doing that. If I cut those big giant arcs here into smaller pieces, it won't use up nearly as much material. I can kind of layer it all in and stack it in there and be all right at that point. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll just break it up into a few pieces and we'll go that route. Hopefully now this fins and ductwork system that I kind of got going on the top of here is starting to come into play enough to where you can see what it is that we've got going on. So once this is like sheeted here, it should flow through there pretty good with the fan mounted on this side. Now, I got that all welded in. I also welded up some stuff on the door. I'll show you that here real quick. So I do still need some bolts of the right size here, but I went ahead and welded on the inside of that a little lip in here to help give this thing a little bit more strength on the back side. This is actually a pretty heavy door at this point, and it has a pretty good pull to pull it back in there, so it seals up quite well. I'm really happy with the way my dampener turned out here. It's nice and loose, so that'll be real easy. And I also threw a little box here on the bottom of the ash door, and that's just going to kind of hold it in place there. I didn't want to have it in the way at all when we're pulling all the ashes out, so I just figured the easiest thing to do would just be to be able to completely remove it. So I'm thinking that's going to work out pretty good. And I really figured that by the time it was all said and done in this video, I would have this sheet on here real fast, and I would have a fan mounted over here on this side and we could maybe fire this thing up again outside the door again real quick, and we can kind of get an idea of what kind of heat was actually going to come out of the side of this thing and the force of air and all that kind of stuff, so we can get an idea of how it was going to act over in the new shop. But I didn't take into consideration the fact that I was almost out of welding wire. So today is Tuesday, and I don't have any wire, and by the time I finish editing everything and putting the video all together for you, there is no way that I'm going to be able to do all of that and still be able to get a video out for you guys on Wednesday. And I'm staying committed very hard to staying on that Wednesday program, so I guess I'm gonna have to call this one, and I guess we'll have to finish it on our next video. And I guess when we finish it on our next video, we'll actually put it in place over at the new shop, and we'll fire it up over there, and we'll see what kind of heat it's going to make and how it actually reacts in the place that it's going to be. So having that said, I guess I'm pretty well the stopping point on this video. I appreciate you guys watching and following along, and I will definitely see you guys again next Wednesday at 7.